the more that we can kind of like separate ourselves and our like our worth from what we're making or not making, I think that's just going to be so powerful. And I mean, this is like an age old thing. Like,
I'm Becca Poutney, wedding business marketing expert, speaker, and blogger, and you're listening to the Wedding Pros Who Are Ready to Grow podcast. I'm here to share with you actionable tips, strategies, and real life examples to help you take your wedding business to the next level. If you are an ambitious wedding business owner that wants to take your passion and use it to build a profitable, sustainable business doing what you love, then you're in the right place. Let's get going with today's episode. Today, I'm chatting with Micah Bain. After spending over a decade building her photography company into a six-figure business with a team of 10, she now helps other creatives build their own businesses, but in a sustainable way, so that they feel as good as they look on paper. Based in Minneapolis, Micah herself is proof that it's absolutely possible to scale a business without losing your sanity, and you can pay yourself while still prioritizing joy. This is a topic I also really love to talk about, so I cannot wait to get into it. Micah, welcome to the podcast.
yay, thanks, Becca.
I am thrilled to have you here. Thank you for getting up early so that we could record this on my time zone. I really do appreciate it. But I want to get to know you a little bit better, and I want my audience to get to know you a bit better. So before we go into a bit more of the topic about sustaining our businesses while keeping that joy, I want to hear a little bit about you and your background. So I said in the intro, you came into the photography world. How did that happen in the first place? Take me back. Did you have a career before photography? Was photography the first thing you did? Tell me more.
Yes, I first got into photography when I was in college. I had plans to spend the summer studying in the Middle East and then the following fall in Uganda in East Africa. And this was like pre-smartphone days. So I was like, I better get a camera. So before that, I bought a camera, took a photography class, then like took my camera with me traveling. And I thought like, wow, I must be the next National Geographic photographer. Like, I am so good at this. This is amazing. But really, I think what it was is I just had so much fun getting to know people and like telling their stories visually. So when I came back to the US, I was living in Santa Barbara, California at the time. So I started shooting weddings and was like, okay, maybe there's something to this photography thing. So over the years, things have ebbed and flowed, and yeah, fast forward 14 years later, here I am today. But that was kind of the first spark.
Okay, well, let's go back because I think that's incredibly interesting because most people don't suddenly say, especially from the States, that they're going to jump on a plane and go travel in Uganda, go travel in the Middle East. Like, why did that happen? Like, why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, in college, I was double majoring in anthropology and religious studies. So I was like, I knew I wanted to just like get to know people, cultures, religions from like around the world. And I had done like just a tiny bit of living. I had spent like a month in Honduras in Central America the previous summer, and was like, "Whoa, this world is huge. Like, I gotta see as much as I can." And where I went to school, I had some amazing like off-campus like programs or partnerships. So I was like, why would I not see the world? Like, I had grown up road tripping. Like, Minnesota's right in the middle of the US, so like my family had taken us on like a ton of road trips growing up, which was super fun. And the US is like a very diverse country. So I'd seen a lot, but I'm like, okay, this is like just scratching the surface. So yeah, that was why I wanted to get into it.
And I bet you'd learn a lot that you probably still use in life and business today. Because I know for myself, when I was in college, I traveled to Kenya and Tanzania. And I believe some of those experiences, just seeing such a different culture, different way of life, different level of richness, people in extreme poverty, transformed my thinking that still impacts me all these years later because it opened up my eyes to a world that was much bigger than the Western world we live in. Do you have anything that you remember from that time, or is there anything that you learned during that time that you think still impacts you today?
Yeah, it really taught me that like there's just so much to see, so many beautiful, amazing people to meet, and just like the value of like stepping outside of like your own little bubble and like thought process and like way of thinking, way of being. So since then, I have like prioritized travel to an extreme. So I've been to nearly 50 countries. I take 2 to 3 months off every year, primarily to travel internationally. And like, to me, it just matters so much. I feel like I feel creatively inspired. Yeah, I get to just like learn more that the world has to offer. And yeah, I also feel like as a woman in this day and age, like the generations before us did not have the opportunity, like, first of all, as women. Second of all, like I have a passport where I have access to go to like really almost anywhere. So why would I not take advantage of that? And I also work for myself, and like it's never been easier. So I'm like, I kind of feel like it's like doing a disservice to previous generations of women for like all the hard that how all of the hard work that they have done to like provide me opportunities. I feel like it would be like a disservice to them if I just came home every day and like sat on my couch all night and like watched TV. I'm like, what? There's so much to do in life. Like, why would I do that?
It sounds incredible. And we're going to come back a little bit later in the conversation because there'll be people who've just heard you say, what? She takes 2 to 3 months off a year. We're going to come back to that. So if you're listening and wondering, how's that possible? Don't worry, we're going to get there. So you finished your traveling stint, you went back to the States, and you very casually said you just started picking up weddings. But I'm sure there was a bit more to the story than that. And a lot of people, when they listen to this podcast, are kind of at the beginnings of their journey, and getting that first work is the struggle they're in right now. So again, do you remember back where some of that first work came from when you first got into the wedding industry?
Yes, I mean, I started assisting. Like I was getting paid like pennies to drive hours and like carry gear around all day and then like drive hours home. So I was doing like anything possible to just see what it was like to be on on a wedding day. So I did some like freelancing for some other companies, and then I did like pretty soon start my own thing, but it was like small and it was slow. And so as I was doing that, yeah, like I said, I was like assisting for other companies. I also had other part-time jobs that were completely unrelated to just like pay my basic bills. So from the get-go, I could like in my own business, like have pricing that felt fair and reasonable and stick to that. Well, at the same time, waking up way in the middle of the night to work at a local coffee shop for like literal minimum wage. So like on the one hand, I could at that time I could have been like, well, I could just like do a discount on a wedding because it takes me so many hours and I've just served so many cups of coffee to like, make a similar amount of money. But I think that was really like building my own trust muscle to be like, okay, I have some like even early on, I was like, I know what I'm doing. I have like talents and skills, and I want to like honor myself and also honor my clients to stick to even those early on like smaller kind of basic collections, and then make sure I'm covering myself financially elsewhere. So even from the beginning, I was like, I never want to get into that scarcity mindset where I'm like, fine, I'll take it, I'll do whatever, like whatever you have to pay, just because I think that's like a very slippery slope. And I think this just like really set the foundation for like a really good like mindset early on.
I think that's really smart. It's interesting. It's come up a couple of times in recent conversations I've had on this podcast around people having extra income and not being ashamed of that, and actually seeing it as a positive thing and not thinking, oh,
Hmm.
because I'm not full time in my business from day one means I'm
Hmm.
less than. Actually,
Hmm.
it can sometimes give you the freedom to be more than, because you can go straight in at the price that you're worth and you're not desperately seeking the work.
Totally.
In terms of your business, then, your business journey as it grew, as your wedding photography business grew, did you face a struggle with balance and burnout, or have you always had your business set up to a way where you could have that time for yourself? Because often when we hear people coming into the coaching world or they're starting to teach on a topic, it's because they've experienced the opposite for themselves. So I'm just interested to hear, is that your situation, or have you always done things how you would see in a balanced way?
No, no, definitely not always balanced. And I also think that like not every season of life is balanced. Like I just don't. And if someone says that, like congrats to them. Maybe they have some secret that I've never heard of. But yeah, like in my early mid 20s, like I was working all the time. I had multiple other jobs. I was doing the photography for alongside all of the different things. I also moved across the country back to where I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So that was, another transition in there. So I was working like all the time for many years, and eventually, maybe 6 years into it, I kind of reached this point where I was like, okay, I need to reevaluate. I gotta drop some things. I gotta make some serious shifts. So yeah, I made some big career adjustments. And that was the first time I took some time off. It was in it was in a January, I think it was 3 months, January, February, March here. It's very slow wedding wise anyway. It's snowy. We just got a massive snowstorm last night. Like there's not that much work anyway. So it just kind of was like a natural time to be like, let me just catch my breath. It was definitely scary at the time because I was like, well, I'm just going to be like living off my savings. I'm intentionally, even if someone comes to me with projects, I'm going to be like, all right, I'll be available in April. That is kind of scary to do, especially when you've been hustling your booty for so many years. But I just knew, I was like, if I don't do this, like something bad is going to happen. Like I just feel it. So I took the time off. Like read a lot of books. I randomly got like yoga certified just because I was like, I like yoga. Like, let me do that. Did not end up teaching, but it was just more of kind of like a personal journey, like that kind of thing. And did a road trip or two during that time, and then jumped into the year, had a great year. Then at the end of the year, kind of looked back at numbers and was like, okay, I took 3 months off, and you know what? The finances were still there. What if I circle back and do it again? So then that just kind of became a pattern. So each winter, somewhere in the January, February, March, I take like usually 2 to 3 months off, and I intentionally align it with when things are usually slow here anyway. And I just feel like it really helps me like reset, gives me like a new creative fuel. If people are doing weddings, there's ebbs and flows to seasons no matter where someone lives. I've not heard of one single market that's like 100% of the days are like wedding, wedding, wedding. And if they are, then I think you can just maybe, if you're getting so many weddings, you can just take a break anyway. uh, but yeah, that was kind of the beginning of it.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because in our heads, often we tell ourselves if we work harder, we do better. And actually, we also know, on the contrary, that people say to us, take the break and then you'll be more productive down the line. So it's interesting that although you were
Mhm.
forced into that break, actually, when you reflected, it didn't impact your business very much, but actually the positive impact it would have had on you, your health, your family time, your personal life would have been huge, I imagine.
Totally. And I think we forget a lot of times as like business owners, like we are our own best asset. So like if we're not taking care of ourselves, like you don't have a business. And that's actually not dramatic. That is a fact. Like if you are your business and your mental health, your physical health, spiritual, emotional, social, whatever, how you want to judge it, like if you're not taking care of yourself, eventually something's going to happen. So like you got to just care for yourself.
So when you came back after that break, did you change other aspects of your business other than knowing you needed to take breaks more? At what point did you bring other people in? Explain how that worked.
Yeah, I think that was kind of when I started taking things like I don't know if more seriously is the right word, but maybe you're treating it more of like a business and less of like I'm a photographer. So that was 2018. That was the year I set up Dubsado, which is like my CRM, because before then I was literally doing like paper contracts and checks, which was not that insane in those years, but obviously would be like wild. If anyone is doing that today, like immediately open an account with Dubsado or something else because what are you doing? Uh, so that was like one of the first things that I did, just kind of slowly like making changes and adjustments. And then a couple years later, like end of 2020, I was in like a big life personal crisis. And that was when I made my first hire. That was just like, okay, I need to take time off again. And I don't know what things are going to look like when I get back. So I just have to do something. And I also know for my own mental health, I seriously cannot be on social media for months. So also as a business owner, I know that can be kind of scary to just disappear. So I'm like, call a friend crying. I'm like, can I just give you my password and post some stuff? I have no plan. I don't want people to forget about me. I'll be back at some point. I don't know when. Obviously, would 0% recommend this as your strategy for your first hire because I gave her no direction. But it also, again, I was kind of forced myself into it. And then when I came back, I was like, you know what? Again, that year actually went better than the previous one. And everything, like the business stuff was better because I had taken the time and the energy to take care of myself and figure out like what I needed. And that also taught me that, like, you know what? Someone else can do things for me. Was it different than how I would have done it? Yes. Were some things better? Absolutely. So I think that was also a pretty exciting moment to realize, like, wait, I'm actually not the best at everything in my business. What if I did something about that?
And that is a big moment. And I think that's a point that a lot of business owners get to, and they're scared to let go. Like to your point, even
Totally.
about Dubsado, I do still have people who are like attached to their paper diary and their spreadsheets because they're so scared of letting go. And I keep saying to them, it will be so much better on the other side. I know it's like £27, £100 a month, whatever system you're on. But compared to your valuable time that you're spending in that spreadsheet, like please let go. But then letting go to another human, again, I feel like people see that as a huge step. And
Hmm.
again, your situation, you almost hit crisis, which meant that you had to do it.
Hmm.
And that, but I think if people can get into the mindset of thinking that before they hit that point, they're going to do so much better. So for that first hire, what were they actually doing for you? You mentioned social media. Were they taking photos, or was it all just administration?
It was 5 hours a week, and she just posted, I think, like 3 times a week, and then left some comments. Like I honestly don't even know what she did.
But she kept
Because
you
I was like,
visible.
don't care.
And that's a sign that you've hit burnout too, right? Because when we
Yeah,
hit
okay.
that
I mean,
point,
yeah, there was.
for sure, like when we hit that point, we know that that's, if we're like, we don't care anymore, it probably means that we need to take a break. So anyone listening that's starting to feel like that is a sign in your body, your soul, your spirit that you need to take some time out, and hiring someone may be the way forward. So let's fast forward to today then, because I took a look on your website and you now have a big old team of people working for you. It's no longer just you and your friend doing the social media. And so now, are you at a point where other people take photos? Are you still doing the photos and everyone else is doing other stuff? Explain your setup to me now.
Yeah. So things have changed a lot over the last couple of years, and even more in the last like 6 months. So now I have a solid behind the scenes team that runs the majority of like the day to day things, like emails, marketing, editing, those types of things. And then I also have a handful of photographers here in Minneapolis they each kind of have their specialty. So now my team does all of the weddings, all of the seniors. That's like a very big deal in this market, like graduating high school, and then all of the families. And then I get to focus almost exclusively on business coaching and also personal brands. So I specialize working with women owned personal brands, and it is so fun. I absolutely love it. And yeah, it's been amazing to like make this pivot, and I'm like, it feels so good. It feels amazing.
So I think there's a few questions I want to ask
Mhm.
around this, because I find what you've done really inspirational, particularly because you started as a photographer, and there'll be photographers and other solo business owners listening who feel like when they hit the limit of events they can do, there is nowhere for them to go, and that building a team isn't possible for a number of reasons. Number one, they feel like it's them that's built relationships with clients, and therefore, how could someone go out and deliver that wedding in place of them? And
Mhm.
secondly, because the business name is your name. But actually,
Right.
you've done that and it seems to be working. So, talk me through those 2 points.
Yes. I mean, I will say for starters, I definitely do not think a team is for everyone. So if you like, I'm not going to try to convince someone that they should do it if they think they would hate it, because you know yourself best. Uh, so that's my caveat. I will also say that as far as building a team, I've done it very slowly and very intentionally. And also, this is my name, my business name, also my like livelihood. I'm the one responsible for taking care of myself. I don't have another career or a partner to fall back on for that. So like I take this very seriously. Uh so all that said, I think once you figure out how to to communicate what you're doing with your clients and in a way where you're just like, oh, this is what we do. It's amazing. People like a lot of my, for example, regular like family clients, because I was like, oh, this is gonna be hard because I've been photographing them for years. Like, are they going to like working with my team? When they reach out, I'm like, oh, here's the options. Like, this person's amazing for this reason. This person is amazing for this reason. They're like, okay, like, we trust you. And I'm like, okay, perfect. That is a great client for me. Like, some people have maybe taken like a tiny bit more explaining of like, oh, like, this is why it's so great. Da 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 da. Like, now we can be more available because you're not just like limited by my own schedule. It's like you have a few people's options. So I think just being able to like explain the benefits to people, and also now that I've really like tightened up my systems, like my clients are getting a better experience. Like I would say like a lot of my photographers have, actually I would say all of my photographers have specific skills that are better than mine. Like some of them are like better at taking candidates at weddings. Some are like better at taking photos of family. Some are better at taking detail photos at weddings. Like whatever the thing may be, these are very, very talented people. So I've been incredibly intentional about hiring and that type of thing. But now I'm also able to like, I can put more effort into like planning the timeline or the calls with the people, with the couples or families or whatever. And then we can also deliver things faster because I'm not like drowning in like doing every single thing on every single project. And also something I've noticed with myself is like on the occasional, like I just had someone who was like, oh, like, can you like these two photos look different? Can you edit them so they look the same? And I was looking at them side by side and like the light was coming in behind a tree slightly different in the two photos. So I was able to be like, oh, like this is why it looks like it. Like the sun had shifted. So we didn't like edit it differently, which is like the actual light was different in that moment and da 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 da. And they were like so happy. And even though I hadn't like done the request that they asked, but like I felt like I was able to be much more patient and like excited to reply to them. Whereas even me a year ago, if I would have gotten that email, like honestly, I would have been like, like why did they not get it? But it's like, how would they possibly get it? You're not a photographer. Like that's so rude. So I think I've just become like much more patient and understanding in myself. Like would the email have been different a year ago? It would probably have been the same actually, but I think how I would have felt about it would have been a lot different.
And do you think that's because you freed up some more of your time and you're not under that intense pressure that you were before?
Yes, absolutely.
And how about the fact then that people are going out under your name still? So one of the big pushbacks is, oh, I don't want to name my business my name in case I want to grow it in the future. Whereas you've kind of proved that you can grow it whilst it being under your own name. So have you had any confusion about that? Have you considered rebranding or is it just working beautifully?
I like it. Like I don't have any intentions to rebrand. I think there's like, think of any like designer, like they all have businesses named after their names. Like, I don't know, Louis Vuitton, like, do you think that person is literally like crafting their wares and like answering their emails? I don't think so. Like Kate Spade, do you think she's like at home sewing a purse? Like the answer is no. So like, I think other industries have done it. I don't know why in the photography industry where like it can't be done. So yeah, at this point, I mean, I could always change my mind. Like I feel like I've lived enough life now where I'm never going to say never, but right now it's working great.
I love it. I think that's really, really good analogy as well to people to think bigger. I think we get into such a small minded thing in our own little world about our business and how it should be that I love talking to people who are doing it differently because it just breaks that wide open and says to people, you do have other choices. You may not want to do the exact same as Mike has done, but there may be elements of it which could work for you and give you more of that freedom. So you've grown a team. You're now having your time off every single year. So are your team still going out during that time? Is everyone taking that time off? How's that going to look?
Yes. So everyone well, people take off different amount of time throughout the year. I basically tell people my photographers, I'm like, you can do what you want. You can take off a lot of time. Obviously, you're going to have less work. So that's up to you. My behind the scenes team takes off between Christmas and New Year's and other vacations throughout the year as they desire. And then like January and February when I'm away, they will keep things rolling. We will still be doing less work than we do in like a July, August, September. So I think that probably makes it a little bit easier to step away. And I'll be checking in with my team like once a week. So I'll probably be working like 2 hours a week. I will still consider that time off because that's certainly less than usual. So I'm not gonna just be like 100% unavailable and be like, good luck figuring things out for 2 months. But yeah, that's kind of what it's gonna look like at this point. And this is also my first sabbatical with a bigger team. So I will be figuring out as I go.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that works. But I think the whole system you've got set up is lovely. When I came to your website to have a look at how it looked from a customer's end, just the beautiful picture of all of your team together. I just thought you look like a family. You look like one company. You don't look like an individual. It's fantastic. And I think it, like I say, it opens it up to show people that they can run businesses in the way that they want them to. Now, Obviously, we said at the beginning that you are now also coaching other business owners and working with other business owners, helping them to achieve similar kind of things, I guess, go after the things that they want in their business, not getting burnt out. What made you decide to go down that route?
I think after working with like a variety of like business coaches, going to a bunch of retreats, whether it's like photography or business or things like that, I was kind of like, they can do this. Like I can definitely do this. I mean, I have had some great experiences with different coaches and retreats, and I've also had some honestly very bad borderline scam experiences with retreats and coaches. So I'm like, okay, I think from people who are like extremely well known, I'm like, this is shocking. I cannot believe this is the reality of what they're like in real life. So I think that kind of inspired me to think, okay, there are a lot of people who are seeking to learn, seeking this knowledge, and the options out there. Yeah, there are some great ones, but also I have a lot to bring to the table. I have learned a lot over the years, and I just find myself talking about business like all the time. Like even one of my best friends and I, every time we walk into a store, like we're like, okay, this would be better here. Like this would be more optimized if they did this thing a little bit different. Like I can't even help myself sometimes. So, and I think I also like to be really clear with people that I really like to focus on the business, like the mindset, the strategy, that kind of thing. Like I do not like talking about photography. Like if people are like, how do you best light a reception, or what kind of shutter speeds did I use in this situation? I'm like, I'm not your person for that. Like it's just not a passion of mine to talk about those like nuances. And also go on YouTube. There are like 1 million billion people who love to talk about that. So that's kind of my thought process there. But if it's like, okay, let's dive into your business and things that like you cannot just like Google or ChatGPT, go on YouTube, whatever, like that's where I love to like partner with people.
Okay, so if there's someone listening and they're thinking, right, I am in the thick of it. I am a florist, a cake maker, something like that. I am working all of the hours. I feel like the return is low. I'm hustling hard. I'm exhausted. I'm burnt out. They come to you and they go, Mike, I need some help. What are the first things that you would help them put in place? What's the first step for them to make that change?
Yeah. I always have people start by thinking about like where they are now. So this is gonna like take a minute to figure out like, okay, where are you? How many projects are you? How many clients? How much money? Like the actual information about where you are now. Because if you don't know that, like it's very difficult to make any educated decisions. And I've also been in that place many times where I'm like, who knows? I don't know. Did a couple weddings each month, you know? So it's like, this is not like a judgment, but it is an invitation to go in and be like, you got to figure out where you are. And also, secondly, most importantly, where do you want to go? Because I think a lot of people are like, I want to grow a team or I want to work less. It's like, why? Like you have to have like a why, a reason, a dream, to even know like what you're trying to do. Or I think a lot of people in the creative space are like, I want to hit 6 figures. Like, okay, for what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is that enough? Is that not enough? Like, that's just an arbitrary number. So I think like really figuring out like where you are, where you want to go, looking at the difference between those two, and then kind of starting to fill in the gaps, you know? And I also really like working with people who are like going to do it. Like if people want to talk about this all day, every day, and then in 3 months they want to keep talking about the same thing that we talked about in the first day, like I am not for you. Like I like to work with people who are like actually going to like implement, jump in, make it happen, like want to actually make a change to the business in their life, because so much is possible. Like really anything is possible. And I think I like to just kind of provide people that invitation to dream way bigger than you even thought reasonable, you know?
And to your point, the first piece of work that you get them to do, where they have to actually see where they're at, I think that's actually a huge piece of the puzzle. I see a lot of business owners that are in this kind of chaotic state where they've lost control, in that they don't know their numbers, they don't know their costs. Like everything has spiraled and everything has just become so chaotic that they feel out of control. And that is adding to the burden of like not having balance, because they think they can't take any time off because they don't understand. And so I guess just taking the time to slowly get that control back and understand and look at the numbers is going to be a huge help.
Totally.
I also see people burying their head in the sand. I don't know if you see this with your clients, but when people are worried about what the numbers are going to say to them, they don't look at them. So if they don't want to face the reality that maybe their business is either not profitable or is making them peanuts and they could earn more working in the grocery store down the road. And I think that fear sometimes stops them actually putting numbers on paper. What would you say to that?
I firmly believe knowledge is power. Like, no matter what it is, whether it's in business or even I was like talking to someone about a relationship and, she had some questions for her partner. I'm like, the longer you go without asking, like, the worse it's going to be. Just ask the question and then you can make a decision. So I think like just taking the bold step to figure out where you are, yeah, where you are financially. And also, if you do need to get a job at the grocery store down the road for 6 months, like that is 100% fine. Like, I think so many people are just like in this spiral where they're like, oh, I have to work for myself 100%, otherwise I'm a failure. And like, who told you that? Like, don't listen to those voices. Like there are different seasons in life for different things. And like, I don't know. I think people just need to be very realistic about like where they are. And this kind of like leads a little bit more into like money mindset stuff, which I like love talking and coaching about. But it's just like, if you don't know what you're trying to do, then you're not going to get there because you don't even know where you're trying to go.
Okay, let's talk a bit about money mindset then, because that was actually next on my list of things to talk about. And it's come really naturally to this point. I think that money mindset is huge. I know there's lots of different people that talk about it from lots of different angles, but I definitely see it all of the time in myself, in my clients, that we have these beliefs around money, either that, we can't charge a certain amount, people won't pay a certain amount, we're not worth a certain amount, we should never earn a certain amount, or we have to hit six figures to be successful, this arbitrary number. So what do you think are some of the fundamentals of getting a better money mindset?
Whew. I think I think one of the most important things is like when you can separate yourself as an individual from yourself as a business owner. Because I think that kind of goes into like value, worth, rejection. Like, I know that maybe seems like it's not extremely linked to money, but for me, it definitely is at times. Like, as a business owner, how often do you get rejected? Literally all the time. Also, if you're not getting rejected, you got to raise your prices. If 100% of people are booking you, that means your price too low. So, like, one of the tickets to entry as an entrepreneur or business owner is like you're gonna get rejected very regularly. And I think the more that you can be like, okay, they are rejecting me as a business owner, or they are rejecting this specific offer that I am offering to them for whatever million reason it could be. They're not like saying that I'm a bad person and like they hate me. And if they are, then you got to do some own, that's not on you. It's probably someone's got some issues. But I think the more that we can kind of like separate ourselves and our worth from what we're making or not making, I think that's just going to be so powerful. And I mean, this is like an age old thing. Like I don't know the actual stats, but like I know, so often here in the US, like people retire at 65 and like men, like, I don't like gender stereotypes, but so often men have found their identity in work and career. And then it's like very soon after that, their health just plummets or they even die because it's like they put so much worth in their career or finances, and it's like, is that how you want to live? Like, again, that's only you can say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing is sometimes there's this feeling in our heads that earning more means working harder. And so people have these beliefs, particularly in our industry. And it kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier that, if I'm a photographer, there is an income ceiling. I'm going to hit that and I can never earn any more. Or in order to earn more, I'm going to have to work so hard that I'm going to have no life. So how do we balance those beliefs around money?
Yeah, that's super tough. Like, I wish I had like a two-sentence answer that could be like, I have the solution. But I think there's a difference between working more and working more strategically, or like working, like smarter, like work smarter, not harder, as I say. But like that is so for real because you can sit in front of your computer all day, every day. You can tweak every single photo until your eyes fall out. You can bake 1,000 new cakes and arrange, a million bouquets, all these kinds of things. But like is that the smartest thing for you to be doing? Because busy work is not necessarily like smart work. Like there is no chance I could ever be done working because that's not how it works. So, but it's not about being done. It's about like focusing on what's like the most important and what's actually going to like drive your profits forward. And then, maybe you could consider hiring someone 5 hours a week to run your Instagram, or you could hire someone 5 hours a week to be your personal assistant. Take some of these like household, like if you don't want to give up anything on your business, like this would be my challenge too. Hire a super part-time personal assistant. Like I did that a few months ago. I am not married, don't have kids, don't have pets. So it's like literally me in the home. And this has been a game changer. Like to just take a lot of the load of like these daily life tasks off my plate, like meal prepping, laundry, errands, these kinds of things. So now I get to focus more on my work because I'm like, I love to work. I love to work way more than I love to fold my laundry or cook a meal. And that's a fact for now. Like some of those things I would like to change maybe at some point because I would like to enjoy cooking, but the today version of me doesn't. So instead of like getting hard on myself about that, why don't I just like embrace it and do something,
Yeah, and find ways to get your time back. It's interesting. I interviewed Colleen Carswell on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about tracking your time. And I set myself a goal that for 2 weeks, as she did, I would track everything I did every 15 minutes. And it's just been game changing to my mindset to see where I spend all my time, because what we think we're spending our time doing or where the value is. And then when you actually do that exercise of tracking every 15 minutes what you're doing, you realize, wow, you can really see where maybe someone else could be doing some of that stuff, and to allow me to have the freedom to go and do the things that I'm better at. So that's another
Mm-hmm.
way for people to look at it, as going, right, go look at the time that you spend on things, go do that exercise where you write every 15 minutes what you're doing for 2 weeks, and then review that, and it will very clearly paint a picture to you of what you should do. I mean, I did it a few years ago with hiring a cleaner because I realized I was spending half a day a week in my work hours cleaning my house, and I was like, why am I doing this when I could be
Yes.
actually being productive, and there's someone else out there who has a business that I can support who wants to come and do that. And it's been game changing for me because I got half a day of my week back, but I'm also living in a nicer, cleaner environment off the back of it. So sometimes I think when we talk about hiring, people are scared. They think we're talking about taking on a full-time photography employee, but actually there are smaller ways that we can do that from the start.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we talked a little bit earlier about systems. You talked about CRM systems. Is there any other systems that you're utilizing in your businesses or seeing clients utilize in their business to help them work smarter? Are you using AI? Are there other things that you're recommending to people?
Yes, I am extremely into AI. I've been in Callan Faulkner's AI programs for like over a year. She has it's a 12-week now AI course that I'm taking literally for the third time right now. Okay, third time, because it's changing so fast. Like every day is different. And this is like 1,000 times more than just being like, Chat GPT, write me a better email. Like it's really helped me with like mindset work, with figuring out like hiring and firing with the team. Like there's really no limit to the ways that you can utilize AI. I actually have like an AI like money coach to like work with me on like my money mindset. So like it's very, very exciting to just get started. And I think if someone's intimidated by it, I would just say, like, very realistically, like, you got to get on board or get left behind. And I don't think I'm not going to like say it softer because I really truly believe that's it. I think there's different ways that people can like utilize it and work with it. But like this, I do truly feel is like as monumental as when the internet got invented and the people back then who were like, I'm not gonna do an email, like I'm gonna stick to only the landline. And it's like, fine, like some people are living like that and that's completely acceptable and that is your choice, but like you are gonna limit yourself in some ways. So I think it's just figuring out like what that looks like. And then along with that, I've gotten very into, like, as I've grown my team a lot in the last even 6 months, I have gotten really into Notion, just to kind of like get everything. And also I will say along with that, I hired someone who was good at it and I just explained what I wanted and she got it set up because I was like, I don't get it. It's overwhelming. It's stressful. And I also took some classes on like how how to use it. So I think like, like you're not bad at something, you're just like new at something. So being able to, again, like shift the perspective there, like ask for help, hire someone, take some time to learn, these things are going to be like a total game changer.
I agree. And I think the speed of AI development is slightly terrifying and slightly exciting all at the same time. And you're right, it's changing so fast, so quickly. And I think people need to at least start to board the train if they haven't already to understand it, because there are ways. Of course, there are things that you can look at and go, they're not so great for the world. But there are also things that you can look at and realize, oh, this actually can save me a whole lot of time.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, the final thing I want to ask you before we start to bring this to a close is about how we decide what we want in life. Now, this is a big question, but I think often when we have these interviews and, you talk about having your 3 months off and what you want your life to look like, and then people feel like they should have this thing in their head of what their life should look like based on what other people are doing. And so quite often to me, people will say like, oh, I want to earn 6 figures. And then they start talking about their life. And actually that's not really what they want to do at all. They want to have the freedom to spend with their kids or whatever it is. So with your coaching clients, how do you dig in to what people actually want rather than what they think they want out of life and business?
I think I like to start just pretty simple a lot of times and think of like, what is your dream day? And you can think about it like it could happen tomorrow, or if that just feels like so unrealistic, like you could think about it like 1, 3, 5 years out. I personally don't like to go too much further than 5 years out just because it's hard for me to even like picture that. But you can do whatever you want and just like journal, or I'm very big. Oh, speaking of tools, there's a AI plugin called Whisperflow that it's like a free download on your computer. So instead of typing, you just click a button and then you talk, and it transcribes the entire thing into any single thing. So you don't have to copy and paste. You can do that into like wherever your cursor is and you would be typing, that's where you can talk into. So Whisperflow. But yeah, so I would just like, I like to walk and talk. So I go on a lot of walks by myself and talk to myself, and I don't care what people think. So I'm on my phone and I'm just like, describing my ideal day. And then I think like looking at that, thinking about that, okay, what is important to you in that? Like if you, really want to make sure you're spending a lot of time outside, or you really want to make sure that you can have lunch with your friend once a week, or you really want to make sure you can have dinner with your family every single night, or you want to like have quiet space, like whatever is important to you, or maybe you want to do something, maybe you want to get I don't get my nails done, but maybe you want to get your nails done once a month. Like think of what are these like little things to do, or like that are in your day dream, your daydream, and then think about like, okay, a lot of these things are probably closer than you think. Yeah, maybe in your dream scenario, or like on a, in a house on the beach. Okay, that might be potentially a little more effort to get there. But if the goal is to go on a walk on the beach, why don't you start by going to walk around your neighborhood or walk around the park or something like that, so you can start to like integrate these smaller things into your life. Maybe it's not the exact version of what you want later, but like if you want to have dinner with your family every single night and your schedules are out of control, like start with 1 night a week, then 2 nights a week, then quit something else so you can do 3 nights a week. Like this is not going to happen overnight. This is going to happen with like small intentional movements over time. And I think the more that you can like know where you want to go, make small changes now, and then like do these like daily like visualizations to be like, okay, I am making steps to move myself there. Because even when I think about my dream life, like I'm not looking to have like 10 houses and a private jet or anything crazy. Like that does not sound fun to me. But like there are specific things that I do want to do, and I want to be able to like not work in the evenings and be able to like say yes to a spontaneous invite and like show up for my niece and nephews and like take my mom out for fun little adventures, these kinds of things. So I'm like, yeah, I am capable of doing all those things now. So if that's in my dream life, how would I schedule it into like this next month? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's great. So just take some time to sit and to think, or to walk and to talk and understand what it is for you in your dream life. Because everyone's day, if we got everyone listening to this podcast together and everyone shared, I guess they would look entirely different, because for some, it may be that they want to fly around the world on a private jet. For other people, it'll be that they literally just want to be able to go pick their kids up from school and not have to send someone else to do it. Like, there is so much variety. So if you're listening to this, I encourage you, do that exercise. That's a great starting point. Get the control back with the data, get that starting point, and then you'll have the tools to start implementing stuff and make this stuff happen. Micah, I've loved this conversation. I always end my podcast with the same question. So I'm going to pose that to you now. And it's this: what's one thing you personally wish you'd known sooner in your own business?
I think we've kind of already touched on this, but I would say to dream bigger than you ever think is possible. Like, don't look at someone else on Instagram and think, oh, maybe I can do it. No, think about like 10 times bigger than that. And also just like really leaning into mindset, because I believe mindset is everything. And if you're talking down to yourself or comparing yourself to others all day, like, that's just not going to get you to where you want to go. So I think when you can like really lean into like an abundance and like a generous mindset, like, you're not only going to like get closer to your own dreams, but you're also going to be able to like serve and love the people around you better and like be a better citizen of the world.
So, so true. Often the biggest thing standing in our way is ourselves, for sure. And getting that sorted out can move mountains. Micah, if people want to find out more about you, about your coaching, about your photography business, where are the best places for them to go and find out more?
Yes, I love hanging out over on Instagram, Micah Bain Photo. It's MYCAH. And I also have a fun little money mindset freebie for you. So that's micahbain.com/money. And you can just download it right there and dive in. Send me a DM and tell me what you're thinking.
Fabulous. I'll make sure I put that link in the show notes so that everyone can go and grab it. Micah, it's been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
I love that conversation. It's always interesting to hear about mindset. But what I love most of all is how Micah's rewritten the game. And so many of you say to me, if I'm a photographer, I can't grow a team. Well, guess what? She shows you can do it differently if you choose to. So take some time, do that exercise, work out what your dream day would look like, and then you can start putting the building blocks in to make it happen. I'll see you next time.